I recently came home from a LAN party with some of my buddies and I came to the conclusion that I just hadn't had enough of gaming. But once I had my computer taken out of the bag, an issue arose. Something was amiss. It's broken. Hi, welcome to my channel, where I do all sorts of stupid stuff with electronics. Today, working on this computer. So I'd be honored if you were to join me for this troubleshooting session so you can see what's actually going on with the computer. Plugging in all of the cable, you can turn on the machine, and if you do so, I'm afraid nothing happens at all, which is the problem. Taking a closer look at the machine, we get a better view of the culprit here. If we turn it around, we see that the fan on the graphics card is not turning at all, the PCIe ribbon cable is completely out of whack, and the entire machine is filthy dirty and filled with old stinks from, I think it's soda, could be beer, I don't know. So the next step of the process, of course, is to disconnect all of the cables. Then I'll carry the machine downstairs where I have a bit more room to work. Already now I'm figuring out some of the problems that we see. Oh, and before I miss it, when I was at the LAN party, a screw fell out of the case. I put it in the bag, but that's not good. Surplus double-sided standoffs with double connected screws aside, let's get the tools needed to disassemble the computer. The machine that I'm working on is my primary workhorse. I haven't touched it for a long time since it just does its thing. It gets thrown in bags all the time, it gets manhandled, it gets thrown around, and it's no wonder that it starts to fall apart now. I think I took great care when I built it in the first place, but that is a long time ago and a lot of abuse has happened since then. We're now downstairs, there's a lot better light, so let's get to it. This assembly of the case could almost not be more simple. Both of the two side panels are held on with 4 matching M3 screws, and as soon as they have been loosed, there's not really anything to do with the chassis itself, since that is riveted together. Every single other component is screwed directly into the case, making it hard to work in, but I guess you get what you pay for. The case itself is called the D19 Pro, and it's just some cheap stuff from AliExpress that I bought a long time ago. Already now you can see marks of abuse on the side panel that I just took off. Underneath the case, the rubber feet have started to move, but once again, I guess you get what you pay for. And shaking the case, that's not great. Loose screw connections literally flying out of the case, coupled with the amount of dust that I'm seeing here, means that I'm probably going to have a battle to see forward to. The first step of this battle, in my opinion at least, will be to disconnect the PSU. I do this because it grants me a lot of other space to work in, which is a resource in demand in a case of this style. Now, taking resources in demand by force is something you could do, but I don't have either ketchup or mustard in my blood veins, so I'll guess I'll have to leave some other people to do the cowboy diplomacy for me. The GPU is covered by this small little bracket that can be disconnected by just taking off a single screw. It's a cheap way, but also a very cost-effective way of doing an I/O cover. This grants me a complete view into the already half-disconnected graphics card that's just trying to hold on for dear life in the PCIe extension cable. Getting the GPU out is a bit of a fiddly task, but with force it should be able to be done, after some time at least. In order to get myself a bit more space to work on, I'm trying to disconnect the ribbon just so that I can pull the graphics card down a few extra millimeters before grabbing onto it and pulling it with all of my might. I do this every night, so, you know the drill at this point. Disconnecting the 8-pin PCIe power cable is the last thing to free the graphics card from captivity. Speaking of the graphics card, it's an MSI Aero GTX 1070 mini graphics card, which is anemic and old, but it does what I need it to do, and I like the look of it. Taking a look at the PCB section of the PCIe extension ribbon, you see the culprit of my issues. The standoff that I found in the back is completely missing from the right side, and the left-hand standoff is very loose. Let's go ahead and try to fix this. I've sped up the section here of me trying to remove the PCIe power cables. I don't know if I had such a great difficulty due to the lack of space, maybe my fingers lack ambidextrousity, or maybe I'm just very bad at doing what I'm trying to do here. Either way, after some wiggling around and some time, I got the PSU and the accompanying SSD out. Before tackling the motherboard itself, I want to remove the top case handle. It makes a lot of noise when I move the case around, and that's pretty much the only reason why it's getting moved off now. While having access to the screws could have been a lot easier, simply putting a finger on top of the screw to make sure it doesn't turn and then turning the handle itself can allow me to take it out. Whoops, do you see that? That's another standoff that's suddenly in the case. Not a good outlook. Last step before taking the motherboard itself out is the PCIe extension ribbon, and even though it's already half the way out, it's fiddly to get out because I have to reach the PCIe lock, which is deeply buried within the case. I know this is making more of an issue than it actually is, but you also have to remember to take out the button cover of the case, otherwise it's still connected and you won't get anywhere. You can hear me breathing heavily in the background, that's because I'm angry at this point. You should be too, if you try to see yourself as somebody who's good at building computers, who's getting completely bamboozled by simple geometry. Most of the motherboard connection screws are easy to remove, but the top right one here, or bottom left one depending on what view you see the motherboard from, is stuck underneath the geometry of the case. Luckily for me, I have a bit of a shorter and skinnier screwdriver that I can get in there, and with some time, hopefully get the thing out. I'll admit it, taking the motherboard I/O shield out first is a bit of an unusual order, but at this point I'm just ready to get the thing out. I'm always caught off guard by the front I/O connector, but there's only a single one in this case, so let's just remove that one. Here is the motherboard with the CPU, RAM, M.2 heatsink and fan assembly. It looks pretty good. I can keep it as an entire unit, so for now let's just take out the attached cables. These cables were the first cables that I made. They're from 15 gauge wire, which is a lot thicker than the standard 18 gauge wire, and I did a piss poor job of managing the cables and crimping the connectors. I still wouldn't call myself the world master at this at any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that I've gotten a little bit better. Not that you can get much worse than this, as you can see, many of my crimps have failed. I don't like working on a nasty and dirty case, so the next step logically is just to rinse it down with water. I'm using a tightly ringed microfiber cloth that for whatever reason I have a really hard time getting wet. You all know that problem, why do you lads? While I'm done turning the microfiber cloth into Sahara again, here's some forearm corn for all of you 0.5% of my female audience. This is from me to you. While I'm washing down the side panels here of the case, let's talk a bit about the case choice. My case does look a lot like some of the other ITX offerings like the K39 V2 or the Velka F3 or perhaps the LLW V40, but the reason why I chose this case in particular is the fact that it takes a completely standard PSU, which I like. If the video is a bit wobbly, by the way, don't worry, I shook the table quite a lot while washing off and I tried to use image stabilization, which applied a warp effect as well. Speaking of the PSU of the case, using completely off-the-shelf component is a huge plus to me. I adore SFX build just as much as the next guy, but using, in what my eyes is exotic power supplies by using something like FlexFX or perhaps even the gallium nitrate power supplies, it's just not territory I want to get into. And if I'm completely honest, if I reevaluate the amount of issues I had pulling out mere power cables from the PSU just seconds before, it's probably too small for me to enjoy the building experience in. The build of this size is small enough that I can chuck it in a backpack, and while a bit lighter weight occasionally would be nicer, I don't really need it. What I do need is better screw to standoff connections. This is probably a completely wrong screw used in the standoff, which caused it to warp and not connect properly. You can solve this by getting pliers and chucking down on the standoff and then disconnecting it. I could not do this by hand. I think we're done yapping. I think we need to get back to fixing the computer. I'm not entirely sure how this pin got pushed all the way out of the PCIe connector, but I do know that it's pretty firmly stuck in there and I have to push it out and then claw it out with the pliers afterwards. This happened to some of the other cables as well, so while I'm at it I might as well just fix them as well. I'll start off by pushing out all of the connector ends and then I'll recrimp new connectors. I do acknowledge that custom cables look absolutely awesome, and I do like the look of custom length cables as well, but personally I find that making and spending the time on the cables is just not worth it. I like to have perhaps a bit larger builds where I can sufficiently use the stock cables and just hide them with good cable management somewhere else. If you've made it this far, it's time for rebuilding. The first ordeal is to replace the missing standoff. Before doing that though, I have a zero task. Look at the screw head on these screws. I don't think they're fit for holding down the standoffs in the first place, since they're concave and not flat. In my million box of screws, I have some new screws that I can probably check to sure make fits on top of the existing standoffs, and if they do, I'll use them to secure the standoffs to the case instead. The reasoning here is that the flat section of the screw will make a tighter fit with the case, which hopefully should prevent them from, moving on themselves and moving out over time. This could probably be fixed with Loctite as well, but I don't have any of that right here, so this will have to do for the next few years. Yeah, okay. My camera is very bad at focusing here, but I drew a red arrow on the screen to make sure you know where I'm working. The existing screws can then go in the $1 million box, because at some point you might just need them. I'm then reconnecting the other standoffs, which are responsible of holding down the PCIe extension cable. Instead of having actual screw holes that the standoffs are connected to, there's just these slits that allow the PCIe ribbon to slide back and forth. You could defend and say that this will allow more lenience when you're installing the card, but you'll always be limited by the slot carver of the 2 slots on the back, so I don't really buy this point. I'm then redoing the cable tie down for the front power button. This is not strictly needed, but tying it down this way does mean that it gets less in the way when installing the graphics card. And as you saw before, the graphics card does not have a whole lot of space, so that's probably smart. While doing that, I'll begin to reassemble the case handle, which is very much easier to do so when the motherboard and graphics card are not installed yet. Next up is routing the 8-pin PCIe cable. Yes, I know, the order in which you have to install components in this case is kinda weird, but trust me, this is the easiest way to do so. At this point, I'm then trying to install the graphics card. And I'll try to play this clip in its full to show you just how much trouble I was having. I don't know why it's so much harder for me to put it in than it is to take it out, but I guess I'm just much better at the pull-out method than I am at actually being committed after I'm determined to put it in the first place. Now that it's fully slotted in there, we can get it into the PCIe extension cable. This is where all of you slit slot lovers can come and defend your case, but as you can see, even though we are wiggling the card quite a lot around, it's only in the up and down direction, and not in the back and forwards direction, which you would expect if you were to use the goddamn slits in the first place. I'll then tie them down to make sure that they don't move. At this point, I think now is the right time to install the boot SSD. Very beautiful. I have an idea in mind, which uses one of these filth thingies for furniture. I'll put it on top of the drive and mount it using, you all know it, friction here in this section that's very much aligned, so it looks like it can mount a drive, but there are no mounting holes here, and the manual does not say that this is a place for you to mount drives too. If you saw one of my last videos, you know that I have this cable in surplus. It's only 7 centimeters long and I didn't know what to do with it. I think this place of drive is the absolute perfect application to use this in. So let's try to see if we can't make that work. Yeah, alright, that was a lot easier than I expected. The next area of business is to reinstall the PCIe extension ribbon. It's super fiddly and kinda hard to get a hold of. You can see me here using pliers, and I guess this was the straw that broke the camel's back and made me realize that while very small and niche cases are super nice to look at, I don't really enjoy working in them. But now that we have that out of the way, we're getting very close to a finished build. Routing the 15 gauge wires is kinda hard, but one upside is that they have some hold to them. making them easier to train. At least, that's the theory. They're also mega bulky, further diminishing the already lack amount of space within the case. You can ask yourself whether or not this is a good strategy if you're already struggling to find joy in working in these tight spaces, but I guess stupidity is one of my strong suits. I wouldn't know. That being said, results like this make me take the side panel off and keep it off indefinitely. I just love looking at it. Oh yeah, the other side, that's shit, but you don't have to know any of that. At this point, I think we're ready to take the case upstairs and see if any of my remediations have actually solved the issues that I tried to tackle in the first place. There we go. It's now on the table, and since my cable harness is just on the table, sitting here waiting for me, it should be easy to wire everything up. The astute viewer have also spotted, of course, that I completely forgot to connect the PSU with screws. Guess I'll have to do that later. It's not turning on, and that's just because I miswired the front panel connector. It can easily be remediated by moving it, and then look at that, everything turns on. The issues seem to be solved, so now let's solve the last remaining task of today, to reconnect the unaffixed PSU. Yeah, okay, also this super random backplate thingy that I totally forgot to fix earlier in the build. It's just connected on with a screw. Hey, thank you a lot for watching this video. If you like this one, then maybe you'll also enjoy this one, where I review a rack case that I'm using in my home lab. Maybe you will also enjoy this super long video, where I take a broken laptop and turn it into a gaming machine for someone I fancy. Other than that, I hope you have a great day. Bye!